Welcome, everybody, to this PayTrace webinar. My name is Sam Johnson. I will be your host and your sales trainer today. We've got a lot of people on today's call. That's excellent. Looking over the attendance, and I'm seeing a lot of familiar names, which is great. Some folks I haven't talked to in a while, and a lot of new names. So, welcome. If you are new to PayTrace webinars, we'll go over some housekeeping. These are 30-minute webinars to give you some information, some insight into PayTrace, into the industry, and how you can better utilize us to be successful and drive more business your way. You will notice as you are logging in, if you're watching this live, that you are muted. It's not that I don't want to interact with you, it's that we just want to reduce noise and distractions. So, with that said, if you have any questions, comments, emotional outbursts over the next half hour, I welcome that. I encourage that. If you wiggle your mouse around on your Zoom panel, you will see a Q&A box. Please open that up, send me your questions that way, and we'll make sure that we carve out a few minutes at the end of today's call to address any outstanding items. So, with that said, let's go ahead and talk about today's webinar. All right, this is the 101 course. I did dig this one up from the vault. It's been a while since we've presented the kind of the sales 101 pay trace course. Really, this course is geared towards a few different audiences. Number one, folks that are new to PayTrace, right? Maybe you've been doing this for a while, but PayTrace is a new product for you, a new solution, a new partner. Right? This kind of gives you the ins and outs of who we are and what we do. Number two, this is great for any folks that are new to the industry, right? We talk a lot about kind of the basics of really of B2B payments, right? Which is really where we're going to be the best fit for. And then lastly, as a lot of the folks that are on this call are probably aware of, this is a good refresher course. So if it's been a while since you've seen any of our webinars or sold PayTrace, this is a good refresher. So today's agenda, like I said, 30 minutes. It's going to go by really fast. We're going to test drive PayTrace. So we're going to hop into a demo account, run a transaction or two, get a feel from this from the merchant perspective and how they would use this. We're going to segment towards the end of today's call and just talk about some of the different, I guess, some of the different markets, the verticals that we work best with. Maybe talk a little bit about some data with that. And then lastly, how does PayTrace make merchants happy? Really, what's our value proposition and what do we do different from a lot of the other solutions that are out there? Um, so, with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the course material. Um, I also want to call out, I do give this course as well to any new PayTrace employee that we have. So, it really covers the fundamentals of everything. So, the 101 course is really geared around the virtual terminal. I think most folks on this call know what a virtual terminal is, but if you don't, right, when you think about making a payment as a consumer, I'll use a personal example. I'm a caffeine addict, so I'm at the convenience store every day and I'm buying, my energy drinks. It's my one vice. But when I go to make my payment, I pull out my credit card and there's some sort of device, terminal, really, hardware that's attached to the counter that takes my payment information, right? Really, what we're doing with the virtual terminals, we're taking that same type of technology and turning it into a software so that we can access the ability to process credit card payments and ACH payments, really just digital payments in general from our computers. Just very accessible, right? So as long as you have internet connection, this is all online, and you can get to paytrace.com. Doesn't matter what operating system that you're using. I've got my MacBook on. I know a lot of my colleagues use Windows devices. Doesn't matter what browser that you're using. If it's Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Internet Explorer, right? Literally, as long as you can get to that website and you have internet connection, really anywhere in the world, you can get on PayTrace and you can process payments, right? We can generate revenue for a business. Um, right, and this can be done on any device. I'm on a laptop, PC, smart TV, smart refrigerator. I actually did just buy a smart refrigerator, side note, and I tried to get the PayTrace on there. It's not that smart of a refrigerator, but if any of you can log on to PayTrace and process a payment on some weird device and send me a photo of that, I'll probably hook you up with some type of gift card. Um, I would love that as like a case study. Um, right, but very accessible. We're really gearing towards more of these back office types of payments where we're not necessarily in front of our consumer face-to-face transactions, but maybe we're on the phone, maybe they're somewhere else in the world, but we still need to get paid. Now, this list has expanded over the last year or two in some of the different tools that our virtual terminal supports. If you do have a Schedule A or you're more on the operations side and you're building accounts, you may see a few different options. You're like, the heck are these? So I'm going to run through these really quick. Number one type of virtual terminal that we have is a cash advance virtual terminal. This is going to be a very niche product geared really towards financial institutions, right? Banks and credit unions that may need to process cash advances for their members, their clients. Not a merchant cash advance, right? We're not doing loans. That's not something that PayTrace is going to support, but really towards those credit unions. Like I said, very niche product. This was built way back in our infancy to fill a need for a few of our large partners, and some people still get a lot of value out of that. But where more people are going to find use of this is with PayTrace Basic and PayTrace Professional. Um, I'll dive into these a little bit more. Basic, as the name implies, is a basic virtual terminal. Um, very bare bones. I'll talk about the feature sets in that in a little bit, but really the target audience for Basic is a brand new merchant that just needs the ability to process a credit card online. Not much functionality beyond that. They're very cost driven, and they're not necessarily B2B. To be honest, um, I almost 99% of the time push our merchants towards professional. When I think about PayTrace, this is really our standard solution. Um, Professional does all the cool stuff that we'd expect a payment product to do. Um, it's got tons of features, tons of functionality. We can add on things like additional modules. These are things like our API, recurring billing, payment links, right? Also supports a mobile app. It's funny. I go on some kind of training calls with partners that have worked with us for years. We talk about PayTrace Go, and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's our mobile app. We've had this for years. We have a mobile app, so it's free for any of our PayTrace professional users to download off the App Store, Google Play Store, any of those app marketplaces, and you can process payments on your mobile device, on your phone, on your tablet. Um, Again, as long as you have that internet connection. And we do have hardware that's supported with that for Bluetooth, you know, in-person payments. So PayTrace Professional is going to fit that need. And if you've been paying attention for the last couple of years, little over a year ago, we rolled out our new product called Trace AR. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, check out our YouTube channel. I've got some webinars posted about Trace AR. It's our new accounts receivable platform. It does invoicing really well. It does a lot of stuff really well. I'm not going to dive in too deep, but that does use PayTrace Professional as the gateway on the back end for it. So overall, right, Professional has a lot of value baked into that. But just to break down a little bit more of some of the feature sets that are included with PayTrace Professional, number one is unlimited customer profiles. Um, Really, what we mean is we can store and host payment information on file. This is super important, especially on our gateway side, because PayTrace hosts this information. It's taking the liability of storing that card data, that payment data off of our merchants, right? They're not hosting it. It's not on their servers. It's not, their systems aren't touching that data. That's big for PCI compliance. It's going to make right, uh, their SAQ, PCI DSS is going to make that a lot simpler. And we don't have a cap to that. So if we have merchants that have hundreds, thousands of cards that they want to keep on file, we support that. And we also make imports pretty simple. So if merchants moving from technology A to PayTrace, right, we can help facilitate that move, that migration. Next up is unlimited users. We don't have caps on licenses with PayTrace Professional. So if you're working with a merchant that has, 10 employees, 100 employees, they've got, 100 locations, we can support that. Every single individual that needs access to PayTrace can have their own login. And what's important around that is that they have the ability to um, set permissions for each individual user so that not everybody needs to be an admin. Not everybody needs to look at the financial data. We want to restrict who can do a refund, right? That's very important stuff to our clients. Probably the reason why most of you came to PayTrace initially is our level 2 and our level 3 capabilities. We were the first to market really with simplifying and automating level 2 and level 3. Um, and still, even today, I think we have the best success rate and the best relationship with the card brands with how we process this information. I'm not going to dive too deep on this call about that, but I do want to promote. We've got a call in a couple weeks, another webinar that dives a little bit deeper into level 2 and level 3 and how we do it, and kind of the basics of it. Definitely register for that if you'd like to learn a little bit more. But essentially, on PayTrace Professional, we're able to supply all of the necessary data to make sure that B2B transactions are qualifying for the best rates possible and that buyers get the information that they need on their transactions, which is very important. I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of back office transactions, right? B2B, I'd say more often than not, it's going to be card not present, right? It's going to vary business to business, but for the most part, it's going to be card not present. Uh, but we do also support hardware, right? It's never black and white. There's always some gray area. There's going to be some in-person transactions that need to happen. So we need the tools to be able to facilitate that. Um, Swipe still exists. Some merchants are still swiping cards. Um, More often than not, right, we're seeing EMV types of transactions using the chips. So we want to make sure that we're providing secure ways for those transactions to occur. So we've got some hardware on the roadmap. We're actually slated to add some more devices. So stay tuned for that later this year. Keep checking the blog, the webinar. But for right now, we've got some both mobile and USB devices to be able to support EMV transactions. So for more information, please reach out to us on those. And then lastly, you know, I joke on my university courses to new PayTrace employees that I just put a fifth one here because I like 5 bullet points more than four. But this is very important to a lot of merchants, and that's the ability to customize your virtual terminal. We have the ability to add custom fields, or how, as we define it, discretionary data fields. I think it sounds fancier than custom fields. But right, you can add, delete fields so that at the point of sale, right, at the time of payment, we can capture more data on our customers that may be pertinent to a specific merchant, right? And that's going to be very helpful to them. All right. PayTrace Basic, just kind of to compare and contrast professional and basic so you know what's going to be the best fit for your accounts. Um, a few drawbacks is that we do cap the amount of licenses on basic to three. Any more than three employees that need access, professional's the way to go. No cards on file and no automated level 2 and level 3. Usually those three things are a non-starter for most businesses. That's why I strongly push PayTrace Professional. But if there's just kind of a sole proprietor that's just doing a small side hustle, oftentimes even nonprofits might find some better value from this. Because one thing that is included is a payment link, donation link, which is essentially a hosted payment page or a button that we can email out or put on our website. Um, Again, big for nonprofits because that's a really good way to facilitate and solicit donations from their supporters. Even religious organizations, kind of same thing, right? Donations, tithings, things like that. So PayTrace Basics there if it's a need. But to be honest, really, when we're out there talking about PayTrace, we're really referring to PayTrace Professional. So with that said, we're about halfway through today's call. Let's go ahead and spend kind of the back half of this just going in and playing around with this a little bit. So I'm going to pull up paytrace.com, paytrace.net redirects to, and we'll sign in as if we're a merchant. This is probably the hardest part of my demo is trying to remember what the heck my password is. But as you can see, it's just username, password, first try. And then it's going to ask you for this validation image. This is our version of multi-factor authentication. I will say, for some of you that have merchants with us, you may have noticed that we are rolling out new MFA so that your merchants may have a code emailed to them. It's going to just verify that they are who they say they are, who's associated to that account, and prevent any sort of bad actors from accessing their financial information. So I'm going to preface this demo by saying I've got literally everything in the kitchen sink enabled on my account. Your merchant account will probably look a little bit cleaner, maybe a little different. Um, but number one thing that you probably notice is that this says Sam's Golf World on it instead of PayTrace. This is customizable. If you are a reseller partner of ours, you have the ability to customize the branding and the look and feel of your merchant's accounts. I will say it's a great co-branding solution. Um, we don't have the ability to change the URL, but it will still look and feel more like your own product, right? Your PayTrace product. Um, One thing I like about this is that it's very easy to navigate. Some background on myself is that I actually, prior to working for PayTrace, gosh, this was over a decade ago, I used to be a user of PayTrace. I worked for a sports organization that used this to process all of our transactions. So, one thing I liked about this was just the user functionality of it, the user interface. Um, Very easy to navigate. Um, and even better, we've recently hired a UI UX developer who's going to make this even better. So, um, right, I can toggle my menus. My most common actions are here on the dashboard. Let's go ahead and process a transaction. Here's my VT. I need to clean this up a little bit. I've added a few custom fields in here, but I think this shows pretty well, right? You can create text boxes, drop down menus, really set this up to flow as our merchants, right? Best need to utilize this. So just to run a very quick sale, I'm going to go into my vault. I'm going to grab Tiger Woods. This is going to pre-populate all the data that I have stored on his account. And I'm just going to run a transaction here for $1. Everything else is good to go. So we're just going to process it. I will get the approval message, right? Big green box letting us know that this is approved. And from here, I can email receipts. I can store this card on file. Very simple. Just because a lot of you guys are interested in the level two, level three, I'm going to run a quick B2B transaction. So that card I just processed was a pretty standard consumer credit card. No additional information is really needed for that, for an interchange implication. But this time I'm going to grab a different customer, Patrick Reed. And when I do this, it's going to fill in all the information just the same. Going to run a very quick transaction. Notice I'm not adding in any additional information. But what's really great about PayTrace is that when this is authorized, right, we'll get the approval. We have this extra notification that pops up, this blue field that basically says that, hey, this is a level three eligible, in this case, purchasing card, and that by adding some more data, we can qualify this and get the best rate possible. Um, so this is really cool, right? It just gives me a visible confirmation that this is level three. The data is already there. I don't actually need to click this button to do anything. I can ignore that if I wanted to, or if I wanted to adjust any of the fields, I could go in and change that prior to settlement. Um, but it's very simple. And I do want to call this out and say that, this level two, level three stuff applies not only to just these, virtual terminal transactions, but everything our system supports, right? The recurring billing, the APIs, um, right? Anything that's utilizing us as the gateway, we're going to make sure that gets the lowest possible rates. So like I said, I'm not going to dive too deep in the demo on today's call. Um, One thing I do want to point out is that as our merchants use the system, and they get a feel for it, if they have any questions, issues, we have hints buttons on pretty much every page that we can hover over, and this will tell us what each field does. So it's really easy to self kind of learn and educate yourself on PayTrace. I do want to call out that it is very easy to get a hold of us if you do need support, if your merchants have questions, if you have questions, right, you can call our number, this 888 number. Um, we're not utilizing AI or anything like that. We're using real human interaction, which I think is still very important. Um, right? We have live support that's US based. We're up in the Pacific Northwest for the most part. Call us between 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. Pacific. We're going to pick up the phone within 20 seconds or less almost every time. That's extremely important to our clients, to our partners, right? Or you could even just shoot us an email and we'll create a ticket and get back to you within like a few minutes for the most part. So, very responsive in that sense. All right. So, I'm going to toggle back over to my PowerPoint. Um, we got a few minutes left, and I did want to take a moment to talk about who's going to be the best fit for PayTrace. We've got phenomenal products that check tons of boxes. Um, so we're going to be able to fit a lot of things, but we're really going to be best in the B2B space, professional offices and services, and omni-channel. B2B, right? Acronym, business to business. Um, Essentially this is going to be kind of the opposite of retail, right? These are going to be your suppliers, your wholesalers, distribution channels, things like that, right? As consumers, not necessarily the people that we're interacting with when we make our purchases, but who are their suppliers, who are their vendors. So a lot of the times these accounts are going to be larger. Sales cycles are going to be longer. I'm going to call that out. If you are a newer partner to PayTrace, don't get dissuaded by longer sales cycles. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. Um, but they get a lot of the value in a lot of the back office tools that we provide, the AR, right, accounts receivable tools, invoicing, things like that. We're really moving towards a lot of embedded payments, which are going to be big for this. And then the human value again with our support. Professional offices and services really like the usability of PayTrace, right? The fact that we have the mobile app, um, the interchange optimization is a factor here as well. Um, but it's just very easy and accessible for them. And then lastly, omni-channel, kind of a buzzword, but these are going to be kind of like those really large merchants that need very complex setups. They might need embedded payments into some sort of third-party technology that they're using, an accounting software, an ERP, um, and they just need a whole lot of customized capabilities. I love these clients personally, especially because once they get signed up, right, they're going to stick with you for a while if you're doing things right, which typically, right, we provide that. Um, so omni-channel, really great. We have a team of developer support and a solutions engineer that work really well with these types of merchants. So if you have opportunities like that, feel free to use us as a resource to help support that and navigate that sales cycle. Um, because that's what, right, that's what we do best. That's why we're going to be a partner for you. Um, Last thing I'm going to add on here is a new resource that we've added for our partners. It's called the PayTrace Partner Portal. I went strong with the alliteration on naming this one. But this is going to be a really great tool that only you guys have access to as a PayTrace partner. There's no specific login to get to this, but it is a more or less a hidden URL. So I'm going to share that with you on today's call. If you open up your web browser and you type in paytrace.net/partner dash portal, you're going to find this page that has pretty much every resource that you as a partner will need to activate and be successful with PayTrace. Um, whether it's links to our support, if you need access to our product matrix to see what we do and don't support, our blog, training and demo resources, video resources, demo accounts, all of that, right? This is going to be kind of your landing page to find all that information. And then if you have a marketing team, right? If you want to add PayTrace as a partner to your website, we've written up some quick descriptions for you. We've got all of our sales sheets and marketing collateral on here that you can download and use, send out, right? We're really trying to make this very simple to be able to use this. And lastly, I will call out our relationship management team. I think most of you know at least somebody on our RM team. But if you want to learn who your relationship manager is, if you have one, email our team at sales@paytrace.com and we'd love to get an introduction. So, with that said, we've got a few minutes left. I've noticed that we've got a ton of questions. So I'm going to wrap up presentation portion by just reiterating again, we want to be a great partner. One of the things that sets us apart really well is our level of service, our support. So definitely leverage that, take advantage of that. Um, what's great about PayTrace is that we really want to be a strong partner. Majority of our revenue, what keeps the lights on, is our partner channel, right? We do want to support you. We're not trying to compete with you. We want to be able to provide a solution and tools that are going to make you successful because that's what makes us successful. You're here because you want to sell more, or maybe you just want a refresher. Again, my role as PayTrace Partner Success Manager is to make sure that you have the tools and resources available to you. So if you want to schedule a follow-up call, if you need additional training or demos, I'll provide you my information so that you can utilize that. And lastly, we're pretty fun to work with. I hope this webinar has actually been at least somewhat entertaining or fun or useful and not just a stuffy payments webinar that you're used to seeing all the time. I think that's one thing about PayTrace and our culture is that we're fun. We're kind of crunchy granola. We're not necessarily suit and tie and stuffy. So I think that resonates with our partners and with our clients that, we're a great company to work with. So let's tackle some Q&A. As we're doing that, I'm putting some contact information, how to get in touch with our support or myself. Just reached out to me at salestraining.com, salestraining at paytrace.com. Again, my name's Sam Johnson. Keith's going with the all caps on this question. Can you have this sync with QuickBooks automatically with dual pricing? Keith, that's a very specific question. I'm happy to follow up with you offline or have one of our team follow up with you. We do have a QuickBooks integration. Like to learn a little bit more about your client, what version of QuickBooks that they're using, but we do support QuickBooks Online. We have some partners for QuickBooks Desktop, so happy to have that conversation. Adrienne, can the merchants find their PayTrace monthly statements under reports? Maybe. So also a very specific kind of question, usability question. For PayTrace statements, if PayTrace is billing the merchants directly, they will find that under account, and then there will be a statement setting on here. I don't have that on my demo account, but they'll see account statements just really for the gateway side of things. They'll be able to find that. Kellis. Hey, Kellis. A lot of people that I recognize on here. Kellis has a couple questions asking, what if it's a new client that you don't have all the information stored? I think that has to do with client database. Kellis, again, happy to talk to you. We've got lots of ways that we can import data from other systems. We've got kind of a template, like an Excel file that you can use to upload and import data into a PayTrace account for a new client. So regardless of where their information is, we can figure out a way to best import that data. Sherry, you caught it. Sherry's asking, what's this box in the middle of my account that says interchange savings? This is a feature that we rolled out a couple years ago. Really just provides a very kind of broad, vague sample of what level 3 savings will look like for a merchant that's using PayTrace based on the transactions that we're seeing. I will say it's This is just based on the card types. We don't have access to the actual processing information that's being passed. So this is a tool that you can enable as a reseller um, on a merchant account if that's something that you want to share with your client. Um, so that is there if you want to use um, that tool. Oscar, I heard that Visa might be restricting or fining customers who are using, quote, dummy data for autofill level three. Yeah, that's a great question, Oscar. There is some changes that Visa's proposing around level two and level three data. There are a lot of technologies that probably aren't using the most accurate information when they're sending through level two and level three. What's great about PayTrace is that we do work well with the card brands, making sure that the data that we're supporting and supplying is as accurate as it possibly can be. And that is providing value for the card brands, the issuing banks, as well as the buyers. Um, so everything that we're doing is above board, but as changes do happen, we are learning about these things. So we will continue to provide more information as things do change with interchange, right? Um, and then Kellis, final question, and then we'll close this out asking for the PayTrace partner portal URL. Here it is, paytrace.net/partner dash portal. Um, Again, if you need this link or you need any follow-up information, please shoot me an email, salestraining@paytrace.com. I'll give you whatever resources that you guys are looking for on that. All right. We are over time. Thank you all so much for your engagement today. I love doing these webinars. Again, check out the calendar. We should have another one coming up here very shortly on level two, level three, and interchange optimization. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week and take care. Bye all.